Hi, this is Don again, and this is a follow-on to the last video I did when I solved this paired samples problem using StatCrunch. I want to solve it this time using Excel and show you two ways to do that using Excel. I'm not going to go through the first part where we talk about the null and the alternative, other than to say that because this is the claim is there evidence to conclude the ratings have changed? That makes this a not equal operator in the claim, which makes it the alternative. And if you have a not equal in the alternative, you have a two-tailed test as opposed to either a less than or greater than symbol in the alternative when you'd have a one-tailed test. But anyway, let's go ahead. I'm going to click on our little icon. This time I'm going to click on Open in Excel. And on my Windows 10, it drops down an Excel spreadsheet. I need to open that. And we'll bring this over. Got to click on Enable Editing. And so we've got our basic data here. We've got our ratings last year, ratings this year. What I want to do is to go ahead and calculate the difference, because one of the ways that I'll show you how to do this, you've got to have the difference. And of course, that's pretty straightforward. Equal to the rating last year minus the rating this year gives me a -1. And then I'll drag that down to give me my differences. And just for the heck of it, one of the questions is, what is the standard deviation of the differences? So we'll just go equal ST to start our standardized. This is the standard deviation .s, which is a sample, because we don't have the entire population, and that makes a difference. And I'm going to highlight my range, click enter, and our S, okay, it took me a minute to get F sub D in there, is equal 1.302, which is the answer that was in my stat lab. Well, let's go ahead and solve this paired samples t-test, hypothesis test. We're going to use the data analytics package, or data analysis package, and we look up and down and we can find t-test paired to sample for means. Click OK, and we get a dialog box, and we click on the little red arrow there, and then we highlight ratings last year. Click on the red arrow again to insert that. Click on the red arrow. Ratings this year. Click on the red arrow to insert that. Put in our mean difference of 0. We have labels in the first cell, so we check that. The alpha is 0.05. I want to put my output on this spreadsheet, so I'm going to click that arrow. I'm going to click F1, click the arrow again, and click OK. And I'm going to expand these so you can see a little bit more. Okay, we've got our basic information here that we need to solve the hypothesis test. It gives us our means. It doesn't give us the mean difference, but you can get that pretty quickly by equal last year minus this year. Gives me a -1.375, which matches the answer in my stat lab. It gives us the degrees of freedom, and it gives us our t-statistic -2.986, which is also the correct answer from my stat lab. We got probabilities here both for one-tail and two-tail. This was a two-tail test, remember, so our probability is 0.020, which is less than 0.05, our alpha, so that tells us to reject the null. But we've got our critical value for the two-tail, and it just shows the positive here, but it's plus and minus. Remember, we've got our distribution there, and we've got a rejection area on the lower end below -2.365, and a rejection region on the upper end above 2.635. So we know that the t-stat is greater than the -2.365's critical value, so that tells us to reject the null as well. All right, That's how you do it using the data analysis pack. If you've got PHStat, which I encourage people to get, we just click on the add-ins, click on PHStat, 2 samples, paired t, and we get this dialog box. And again, we've got to put in our 0 mean difference. Our level of significance was 0.05. We need the differences cell range, so we click on that little box there, and I want to go ahead and highlight those. Click on the arrow to insert that. Double check that the first cell contains the label, which it did. This is a two-tail test, and I'm going to leave the title blank. We click on OK, and we get our results, which are similar. We get our hypothesized mean difference, our level of significance in blue, the inputs. Sample size was 8, which gives us n-1 degrees of freedom. It calculates our D bar, which is the difference of the means, so minus 1.37, which is what we needed. And it calculates our S sub D for us, 1.302, which was the same answer. And we get our test statistic minus 2.986. That's the same. It gives us, because I checked on the two-tail test, we get our upper and lower critical values, minus 2.365 and plus 2.365. Our t-test statistic is greater than the negative half of that, so that it falls in the rejection region, which says we reject the null. And we also get the p-value, 0.02, which is less than 0.05, therefore we reject the null. So I hope this helps.